Welcome to episode number 10 of ECW on FX, and with the recording of Cyberslam in the can, we go into the live show, and we begin with footage from the conclusion to last week's episode, Rhino and Jerry Lynn standing tall to end the show. They'd taken down Rob Van Dam by outnumbering him 2-1, following a successful victory in the main event over Brent Albright and Chad Collier. The duo expected to do the same with Loki, who for reasons we didn't know, came down to the ring to take both men out. What was soon clear, as he became the first man to leave the ECW dual champion laying out cold in the ring, he also dropped Jerry Lynn pretty easily, was that Key had his eyes on at least one of Rhino's titles. This came from absolutely out of nowhere. There was no prior interactions between the two. The idea just to make an impactful moment with Loki, announcing himself on the main event scene. The commentators welcomed viewers to the show, continuing to put over Loki, Taz in particular impressed with what he did last week. With that said, there was no doubt in Taz's mind that Rhino and Jerry Lynn would be looking for retaliation later tonight. And we get that actually in the opening segment, Jerry Lynn and Rhino coming down to the ring, the ECW World and Television Champion calling out Loki. He is angry, he is embarrassed by having finally been bettered last week. The first time anybody has done that since he came back to ECW. He went nose to nose with Loki as Loki happily accepted the challenge and came down to the ring. Neither man was willing to back down, but caught up in the moment, Loki failed to account for, he forgot about Jerry Lynn, who took him down from behind, and the two men took advantage of that, laying into Loki in the ring. Rob Van Dam came down to make the save, and Rhino and Jerry Lynn backed away, deciding not to engage with them. Loki returned to his feet. He's more fired up than ever. They may have taken him down, but they didn't keep him down, and that's going to be probably even worse for them because Loki is coming for Rhino. We then come back from the first break to a segment that happened during the commercials, the new Hart Foundation making their entrance there in the opening match. Teddy Hart was joining TJ Wilson at Harry Smith at ringside and engaged in a brief stare down with his main event opponent. Teddy Hart will face Rob Van Dam in tonight's final match. The commentators putting over the exciting newcomer Teddy Hart and comparing his level of innovation to the level of innovation Rob Van Dam showed when he first burst on the scene. That's going to be a huge match in the main event, but the opener sees the Stampede Bulldogs face the F.B.I, the two teams who didn't win in that three-way tag team showcase at Living Dangerously, and this time it's actually the F.B.I who hand the new Hart Foundation and the Stampede Bulldogs the first defeat any of them have had in ECW. Trinity distracted Harry Wilson during the match, and that meant that TJ Wilson couldn't tag out at a vital moment. Little Guido was able to roll up TJ Wilson to pick up the victory. It was an okay opening match, albeit the overbooking of the match not sitting well with the crowd. It did get them buzzing though, and 4 pretty solid performances there. I'm actually happy with all that, considering Harry Smith and TJ Wilson are very unknown and have only just come onto the scene. They are doing so well. That great chemistry obviously helping them, and that's a decent opening match, and Little Guido took a microphone. He wanted to gloat. They beat the team that everybody's raving about, but he is confronted when William Regal and Nigel McGuinness come to the stage. Regal told Guido that being carried by Chuck Palumbo is all well and good, but it's not something for him to get ahead of himself. Bryan Danielson may be out with an injury for the foreseeable future, but Nigel is looking for somebody to face one-on-one. He doesn't need to be a tag team guy. Can Little Guido say the same? Bryan made Guido tap out at Living Dangerously, and Nigel is pretty sure that he can do the same. Guido then told Nigel that he had a better idea. McGinest can face Palumbo next week on this show. So that's a really good segment involving Little Guido and William Regal on their entertainment skills. Guido not doing well with that script, but it's still a very good segment. I'm happy with that. We cut to the back where Tommy Dreamer responds to the attack from Living Dangerously, Kevin Fertig attacking him after he defeated and unmasked Devon Storm, who was the original Hooded Man. Dreamer talks about there being some kind of Russian doll of hooded men. After he knocks down one, another just keeps coming. If Kevin Fertig is the second of many, then he's got no time to waste. He wants Kevin Fertig next week, and there's no need for this to be a challenge and accept thing, because whether he likes it or not, that's happening. Whether Kevin comes to the ring, or it's in the locker room, or wherever they want to do it, he's going to find him, and Dreamer and Fertig are going to fight next week. Paul Burchill then picks up a very, very quick victory over Cory Kastle. Not really much to say about it other than a good performance from Paul Burchill in such a short amount of time. Cory Kastle getting static, so we probably won't use him again, and he's not going to get signed or anything. But basic really, as we go into the more important part, the segment in the ring after the match, Steve Corino entering with Angel Williams, and he's just rubbing in everybody's face the fact that he's in his relationship and he's happy, but this draws CM Punk out from the back. Punk is angry at Corino and tells him that Allison can't even bear to come come out and face him anymore, but he's willing to keep fighting Steve Corino. He's not going to let him get away with what he did and what he said to Allison last week. He crossed the line, the language he used, and he suggests that Angel gets out the ring so Punk and Corino can settle this. Corino does ask Angel to leave and seemingly looks up for the fight. However, when Punk approaches Corino, Burchill comes between them, obviously still fresh, having only been in a 2-minute match. Corino tells Punk that he's in a happy relationship and he doesn't need to deal with the toxic nature of CM Punk and Allison anymore. Corino says that he's leaving and suggests that Punk doesn't contact him or his girlfriend ever again. Burchill follows shortly after and CM Punk remains in the ring, furious at the words and actions of Corino. This storyline clearly not even close to being done, but an excellent segment. That is what I always thought we could get out of these two. I do think that a straight promo just between CM Punk and Steve Corino could do even better than this. This was also rated on Angel Williams' sex appeal because Corino was obviously flaunting his girlfriend, and Paul Burchill's menace as he stood between CM Punk and Steve Corino. That's basically rating everybody on what they're best at. Corino doing a great job improvising, as did CM Punk. Alice in Danger wasn't actually on screen. A very good segment, really happy with that, and that's only going to help us at the end of the night. So I'm pretty sure with that main event that we've got between Teddy Hart and Rob Van Dam, this is going to be one of the better shows that we've done. Heading to the back before that main event, Rhino and Jerry Lynn are approached by Jade, and she asks about the events of the opening of the show. Jerry Lynn and Rhino ran off by Rob Van Dam after they attacked Loki in the ring. Jerry Lynn goes to speak, but Rhino pushes him away. He's furious and he tells Loki that he is not going to get away with what he did. Next week, he better dust his injured partner off the shelf or find somebody else, because Rhino and Jerry Lynn are going to take him and anybody associated with him out for good. That main event gets a 68C+. Absolutely brilliant, really happy with that. Teddy Hart is a newcomer. It was a steal the show match because I think these two exemplify that style. Absolutely two incredible performers, and Teddy Hart with a 62. That is so good for somebody who has only just come into the company. A 71 from Rob Van Dam, getting the crowd buzzing. What a great show this has been in terms of rating for us. We've got that excellent promo just before this and a brilliant main event. This is probably going to be the best episode of ECW on FX yet. Good wrestling and decent reaction. Rob Van Dam defeats Teddy Hart in 14 minutes and 6 seconds with a 5-star frog splash. It's an open match and takes absolutely nothing away from Teddy Hart, albeit the second loss for the new Hart Foundation on the night. Both guys just given chance to get all their shit in. A fast-paced, high spots really match, and just a very, very good way to end the show. But as the two men look to shake hands in the ring, there is bad news as Harry Smith and TJ Wilson are shown on the screen out cold. With the camera pulling back, Homicide is seen with the Havana Pitbulls. He has a steel pipe in his hand. The Havana Pitbulls continue laying into Harry Smith and TJ Wilson, with Homicide telling Teddy Hart, "You took a fight against the wrong guy," of course referring to his match at Living Dangerously, which Teddy Hart won. Teddy quickly leaves the ring to come and find them, but it's already too late. The damage has been done. In the ring, RVD is left. He looks pretty concerned and chooses not to celebrate his victory despite the great match and despite overcoming a tough challenge. The commentators put over next week's show. 3 matches already confirmed, or so we think. Tommy Dreamer has challenged Kevin Fertig. We have Nigel McGuinness versus Chuck Palumbo, and a huge main event scheduled. Loki and Xavier, if Xavier can be cleared to compete, against Jerry Lynn and Rhino. So that's not a great segment to end the show, but it is a really good episode. Unfortunately, we don't go into a C+. I really would have liked us to. I almost feel like we deserved it, but obviously when I actually look down the ratings, other than those 2 segments, it was an average, fairly lackluster show other than that. Everything is finding a level. Most things are around 50 now, and then we have 1 or 2 segments like the main event that do put us up above that threshold. 65 I'm really happy with, no complaints there, and we'll see if that great match has translated into people watching the show. And we see Impact is back over 1 million viewers in their late night slot, but our late evening slot, it drew a lot of praise for the show, and it's a 2.52. I think that might be actually a little bit less than last week. We've been going up quite a lot recently, but I do think we did quite a lot better last week, but that did involve Jerry Lynn and Rhino, so Teddy Hart not being over has probably stopped us getting such a good TV rating, but in terms of how good the show was and how word of mouth may spread, it was a really excellent match, one of the best matches we've done since ECW came back, and I can imagine those two putting on a really entertaining match. Next week we have a show that already has its matches confirmed, and I do think that they'll be good as well. I'm worried a little bit about Nigel v Chuck Palumbo because Nigel is set as a heel in the game. I'm not really sure why, because he's done nothing heelish yet, but the idea is that it's Bryan Danielson a face and Nigel McGuinness a heel. I know that's not good for ratings, but it is what I wanted to do, and William Regal is sort of a bit of an in-between tweener figure. I really think that when Bryan Danielson's back, we are going to do some good stuff with them, but until then, he's facing Little Guido. Tommy Dreamer calling out Kevin Furtick. It might be a match, it might just be a fight, we'll find out next week, of course, and a main event which I have very high hopes for if Jerry Lynn can perform to the level that we know he can, albeit when he's rather inconsistent quite a lot. Rhino and Jerry Lynn will face Xavier and Loki, and I think that we've got a very good show for next week, and I wouldn't be surprised if we at least match, if not better, this week's show. We'll find out on episode 11 of ECW on FX.